Seriously? Hey you guys, and welcome to another Orc Tactics video with me, 6+ Stevo. In this one, I'm going to be going over one of my favourite units in the army, the Killa Kans. The Killa Kans come in at 51 points each, and their stats are as follows. Movement 6 inches, weapon skill 5+, ballistic skill 4+, strength 5, toughness 5, 5 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 6, and a 3+ save. They come in units of 1, but you can increase that by adding another 5 cans, so increasing the squad size to 6, so between 1 and 6 cans in a unit. They come equipped with a big shooter and a can claw. The big shooter is range 36, assault 3, strength 5, AP nothing, damage 1. A really good anti-infantry killing gun. Strength 5, good range, 3 shots each, good cheap option, only 6 points. I've got a lot of love for big shooters. Big shooters are a great weapon, especially on cans with a ballistic skill 4+. Yeah, you know, that's good. That's about as good as it gets in the Orc army. So yeah, if you want to equip your cans for hunting down infantry, laying down a lot of shots, then the big shooter is a good way to go, and it's also your cheap option. The can claw is their melee weapon. That is strength +3, AP -3, damage 3. So a really tasty close range weapon there. It increases their strength by +3, so you're hitting at strength 8, AP -3, which is really nice, and a flat 3 damage. So these can cause a horrendous amount of damage, especially on mass in big units. And big units is how I would take them, but we'll go into that in a minute. The thing to consider though with the can claws, although very good, they're and the cans themselves very good. The downside of them though is their weapon skill. They're hitting on 5s, so it's not fantastic. But they do have 3 attacks each, and when used on mass, if you can you know, get as many attacks as you can out of this unit, you know, whatever does hit is going to be causing some nasty damage. Now the reason I'd use them in big units is, like I just said, to increase the amount of attacks coming in, but they've got a special rule called Scram. So that special rule is as follows: while a unit of Killa Kans contains 3 or more models, add 1 to their attack characteristics. So this is great. If you've got 3 or more of them, they're getting 4 attacks each. So you're potentially at full strength, you know, you're potentially getting what is that, 24 attacks from a unit of 6. Even hitting on 5s, that's going to be pretty nasty. Where they're doing so at strength 8, doing 3 damage each with a -3 AP. They are going to be devastating, especially if you get these guys in contact with a tank or a dreadnought or something like that. They're going to fuck shit up big time. One trick I like to use with these guys as well to increase that combat capability even more is keep them within range of a knob with a wire banner, and then you're increasing that weapon skill by +1. So now they're hitting on 4s. Hitting on 4s, they're going to be wounding a lot of things on 2s at strength 8, doing 3 damage each. These guys could be a really nasty combat unit, and that is their primary use, I think, as a combat unit. However, they do have very good shooting as well. Like I said, being ballistic skill 4, all equipped with big shooters, good anti-infantry shooting, but you can swap that big shooter out for some other options. You've got your Grotzuka, which is range 18 inch, heavy 2d3, so between 2 to 6 shots each, at strength 6, which is pretty good, AP nothing, damage 1. Now this, and that comes in at, what is that, 10 points for a Grotzuka. Grotzukas I don't really rate though. you're getting half the range of the big shooter. You're potentially getting more shots, maybe less. You're getting +1 strength, but the difference between a strength 5 and a strength 6 weapon, I think, is you're rarely gonna see the benefits of that. A lot of the times you're going to be shooting at things of toughness 4, so it's not going to make any difference. You know, you're still going to be wounding on 3+. You know, sometimes, you know, it will make a bit of difference depending on the toughness of what you're shooting, but I don't rate them. The range is poor, and also it's a heavy rather than an assault. And like I said, these guys are a combat unit. You want to be keeping them marching forward. So if you're marching forward with a heavy weapons and firing, you're not gaining the benefit of their ballistic skill, because you're going to be dropping to a 5+ ballistic skill. Now you're back to walk shooting. So I don't really see Grotzukas as a viable option at the moment. They used to be really good in 7th, back when we had blast markers, but in 8th they've taken a bit of a hit. So if you're going for anti-infantry, I would stick with the big shooters personally. They're cheaper, they're more reliable, and they've got a better range, and they're assault weapons, so you can march and fire at you know, at will, basically. If you want to go for some anti-tank, you've got the choice between the custom Mega Blaster or the rocket launcher. This is a no-brainer, really. The custom Mega Blaster is 9 points, the rocket launcher is 12, so the Mega Blaster is cheaper, yes, but there is a good reason for that. They're both the same strength, 8. The Mega Blaster is a -3 AP, the rocket launcher is a -2, so the custom Mega Blaster's got a bit better AP. But the rocket launcher has a flat 3 damage, which is awesome, and the Mega Blaster has a D3 damage, so potentially you're going to be rolling 1s. And also, on a hit roll of a 1, the bearer suffers a mortal wound with a custom Mega Blaster, so you've got a lot of risk involved there as well. For me, it's a no-brainer. The rocket launcher's the far better option. Unless you really are pushed for points and you need to just squeeze a couple of points out, I don't really see any reason for the custom Mega Blaster. If it was you know, half the cost, then yes, I could see an option for it. But I think the rocket launcher is your best anti-tank weaponry. Also, if you want to kit these guys out for full-on combat, you've got the Scorcher, which is a range 8, assault D6, strength 5, AP -1, damage 1, and this weapon automatically hits its target, so it's a big nasty flamer. They are expensive at 17 points, so it's the most expensive weapon you can give them. Obviously very short range, but if you're wanting to get these guys into combat anyway and toast some things before you get in there, you know, you can imagine 6 of these guys laying down you know, all D6 auto hits each at AP -1, strength 5. They can cause a horrendous amount of damage to a multitude of targets. Scorchers really are good, but you do pay the premium for them, and you are losing out on that range, so bear that in mind. It might be a good option to have 1 or 2 Scorchers in the unit, you know, and save them for when you close in with the enemy. Also, it's a good deterrent against people charging you. You know, Overwatch from Scorchers is not pleasant, so it's a good defensive strategy to use them as well. So yeah, these guys, they're just good all-rounders. They've got a good combat potential, and on the way into combat they can you know, cause a lot of problems for your opponent. Now, the downside of them, like I say, is in large units, the downside is their leadership of 6. They are piloted by Grots after all. So if you take a few casualties and then fail your leadership test, which is very possible, losing a 5 wound model, or potentially 2, maybe 3 5 wound models from a failed leadership test, that's going to be a really bitter pill to swallow. So there is a lot of risk there. But I think the pros outweigh the cons. I think large units, 4 attacks each in combat, it could depend on the situation, you know. These guys, they're tough, you know, a toughness 5, 3+ save, 5 wounds each. They can withstand small arms fire with not much trouble really. Things like bolters and stuff are going to be bouncing off them for the most part. Anti-tank weaponry though will make short work of cans. Las cannons and things, anything with D6 damage or, you know, anything like that could, you know, can pop off a can with one shot, and you could have the unit decimated fairly quickly from some dedicated anti-tank weaponry. They do explode as well. If a model in this unit is reduced to 0 wounds, roll a d6 before removing the model from the battlefield. On a 6, it explodes, and each unit within 3 inches suffers 1 mortal wound. So they can explode as well, which can cause even more damage to the unit and other units around them, like most vehicles. However, it is just 1 mortal wound, so the risk of that is fairly low. But yeah, how do I use them? Well, I've tried various tactics with them, and there's certain units they do well against, certain units not so well against. Keep them away from things like Terminators packing Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields. As I've said in a previous video, they will make short work of cans. I think the best target for these guys is things like Space Marine Dreadnoughts. You get a squad of 6 of these charging into a Dreadnought. I think the cans gain the advantage there just from the sheer weight of attacks. Tanks obviously won't like cans getting near them. They're a good unit. They're a good sort of all-round unit. And if you've got other things in your army like Death Dreads, if you've got things like Gorkanauts or Battle Wagons, you know, other big hardy units, they're going to be drawing probably most of the anti-tank fire. You know, things like las cannons and rocket launchers and stuff are probably going to be aimed at them, slightly more threatening units, and cans can be underestimated, but en masse you get some fairly reliable shooting out of them, you get fairly reliable combat out of them, and they can take a good amount of punishment, so they're a good sort of workhorse unit. But yeah, you want to be targeting some of the opponent's heavier units, some of the armor, things like that. So yeah, get them in there against your enemy tanks, enemy dreadnoughts and that. You just got to try and make sure they get there. The way to do that is keep a big mech nearby with a custom force field, giving them that 5+ invulnerable save against some of the more devastating weapons and things that can be targeting them. Once you do get in there, keep your knob with a wire banner nearby. That will increase their combat effectiveness. Try and have them in large squads, and just while you're stomping them up the battlefield towards their intended target, you can be firing off shots. You know, whether you go with big shooters and you're gunning down infantry, whether you go with rocket launchers targeting their tanks and softening things up before you get there, or whether you equip them all with the Scorchers and no one in their right mind will dare charge them. They can fulfill a variety of roles, and they are just generally a really good workhorse unit, a good hardy tough unit that can dish out a lot of punishment. And it's a good unit in the Orc army because a lot of our units are quite squishy. We have a lot of 6+ saves. We're used to taking off a lot of casualties, so cans and stuff can be quite refreshing to have some 3+ save, high wound, you know, high damage output models on the table. They're good, and they're a cool kit as well, a really fun kit to build. I would love to have more of them. Like I said, I've currently only got 3. I do plan to get more because I would like to have a full squad of 6. I've got 2 with rocket launchers, 1 with a big shooter. I would probably, if I was to get another 3 and increase the squad to 6, I'd probably have 3 with big shooters and 3 with rocket launchers, just so I could deal with lots of different threats and stuff. Maybe get a Scorcher in there as well, like I said, to protect them from those charges and have a nasty surprise once you close in. But yeah, they are a cool unit. But what do you guys think? Have you got any tips, any ideas how you like to use your cans? Do you rate them? Do you think they're worth the points? And what are your hopes in the new codex? Do you hope they're going to get better? Maybe get some different options, some special rules? I really liked in 7th edition, one of the rules they had was if you had them within a certain range of the Death Dreads, they were fearless. I would love to see that rule come back because, like I said, their leadership of 6 is one of their big downsides. That really does threaten the unit and make it quite fragile in a way. So if you had that special rule, keeping them near the Death Dread, means your opponent has really got to kill that Death Dread first before he targets your cans to, you know, reduce their effectiveness. It'd be cool to have that rule back. Very cool. Especially in like a dread mob list, which is I'd love to try that out. I don't have enough to do a dread mob list, but what a cool sight on the battlefield. Just loads of Death Dreads, loads of cans, Gorkanauts and things. That, yeah, that would be a cool looking army. But anyway, I'm rambling off topic now. So yeah, share your thoughts and ideas. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, give the video a share, share your comments below. Thanks for watching. This is 6+ Stevo, signing out.